Hey everybody, Martin here at Pure Metal Fan Magazine. Gonna do another uncut, not fancy video here. It's Friday. I thought I'd go ahead and run down my top 5 favorite Narnia albums. Let's see how this breaks down here. So, as you know, welcome back to the channel here. So I'm gonna start out, I'm just gonna, like I said, this is gonna be pretty dirty, down and dirty quick. So starting, my number 5 favorite Narnia album is Enter the Gate. See that without any kind of reflection there. This one is the last album before Christian Lilligren left the band in 2006. I think this came out, and it is, I think it's probably the best of that mid-2000s era. I think this came out in 2006, I want to say. Yep, on Massacre. And it's it might be a little higher on some of your lists, but for me, this comes in at about 5th place. You got the great songs like Into This Game, Another World. I really like This Is My Life and Aiming Higher. I got kind of a little bit of a Dawkins sound on Aiming Higher, I think. So there it is at number 5, Enter the Gate. Now we're going to come up to modern times here. My number 4 Narnia album is From Darkness to Light. And obviously this is the most recent album. It came out in 2019, and I absolutely love this one because it's got the kind of an evolution in sound as far as I'm concerned. It's really got, it's got a large variety of sounds to it. You've got like a power metal vibe on the Armor of God, and then the track that I like the best that follows that, track number 5, is Manifest. And that, for me, is one of the most killer riffs that Narnia has ever come up with. And then it also has a little sort of an introduction, I think, for the band, for Narnia, in the right before the guitar solo. It starts to get a little progressive. So I sort of get a bit of a Dream Theater vibe from that. And I believe that C.J. Grimmark is a bit of a Dream Theater fan, also John Petrucci fan. So, like I said, I'm not going to say too much on this video, make it too long, but you've got just great tracks on here. The ones that really stand out to me, you know, A Crack in the Sky, that's the opener, great song. You Are the Air That I Breathe, that's a great, almost AC/DC-ish sort of a rocker. And then you've got, everything is great on here, but I really like Sail On. I think the riff on that one is huge and massive too, and it's a funny story is that C.J. Grimmark was actually visiting Southern California, and he stayed with me for a few days, and he wrote that song in my son's room. So that's kind of a cool little trivia there for you. So anyway, so at number 4 of my top 5 favorite Narnia albums is From Darkness to Light. All right, up next we have, at number 3, we've got the debut, which is called Awakening. I'm sure most of you that are Narnia fans are aware of that. This is, I believe, I could be wrong, but you know, tell me in the comments if you know the true story or if I have this wrong. I believe that this album was written and actually recorded and produced by C.J. Grimmark when he was 19 years old. And it's got, you know, the classic songs on it. Break the Chains, No More Shadows from the Past, Times Have Changed, The Awakening. A lot of these songs they still play live. I think these are some of their top, most requested songs for live sets and whatnot. So this is, obviously this is classic because it's the first album. It came out in 97 or 98, I believe. Yep, this says 1998, so this might be, I don't know if there's a version that came out in 97. If you know of that, know of one, go ahead and down in the comments make a spell that out for us. Yeah, so this is number 3, Awakening, classic. The only thing that's a little bit of a bummer about it is the drum machine. But hey, late 90s, mid 90s, what do you expect? I mean, if you don't have, especially if you're trying to produce it yourself and do everything. I think CJ recorded all the instruments himself, and he programmed the drums, and he did background vocals. I think he did everything except for lead vocals, but I do think he sang lead on at least one song. So if you guys know the details, let me know in the comments. All right, let's move on to, you can see I got my Narnia shirt on. Number 2 for me is absolutely iconic and classic, and that is the Long Live the King. I think this is the favorite, probably the number 1 for a lot of fans. It's just, the production really kicked up a huge notch, a huge level when I believe Andreas Johansson joined the band at this point. Or he might have joined it prior. It was obviously after the recording of Awakening. He wasn't obviously there for the studio. But he might have actually joined the band and been touring with them before this album came out. But I know that he's on this. And it's just fantastic. I mean, they just came out with a 25th anniversary version of it. Or 20th anniversary, it might be 20th. Yeah, 20th anniversary they came out with it. Which I have somewhere. But anyway, like I said, this is going to be a super dirty, uncut, unedited video. So you guys can see all of my mistakes and flubs and whatnot. So yes, Long Live the King. My favorite track on the album is Shelter Through the Pain. I think that that's very, very... the production's obviously way better on this. And you have Andreas on drums. The drums are really big and huge, and that was kind of a, I think maybe not just 80s, but it's also a mid to late 90s power metal thing too, with the bigger drums. I think the production's really good. It's mixed and mastered really well. And I just love that tune, Shelter Through the Pain. And then, of course, Living Water. Everybody loves that. If you're a Narnia fan, that's another one they play live all the time. I believe Living Water and also Shelter Through the Pain. Everything on here is great. Star Over Bethlehem, that's one that only showed up. It was not on the Japanese version, but every song is just amazing. Number 2 for me. Number 1 for a lot of you out there. And you can also, in the comments below, tell me your top 5 Narnia albums. And then here for me, coming in at number 1, or here's my top, this is my favorite Narnia album by probably a long shot. It might surprise some of you. Desertland. And the number 1 reason this is my favorite Narnia album is that this is the album where I feel like CJ Grimark started to shed a little bit of the Yngwie Malmsteen, very, very close, similar sound to Yngwie's soloing style. And, you know, I think he got quite a bit of, he probably got criticism for that, I think. You know, oh, is this guy just another Yngwie clone? You know, whatever. But I never felt that way. I always thought that he was like, wow, this guy's great. You know, he does sound a lot like Yngwie, but, you know, he's a Christian. He's, you know, obviously loves the Lord, and he is trying to praise God and glorify God with his music. And this is the album, to get back to my main point, is this is the album where he started to expand his soloing, or start to show that he was expanding and sort of growing and progressing as a lead guitar player. And you can hear other influences too, I think. I probably won't mention them, but there are some other influences and styles that you hear on this album that will probably stand out in your head, and you're like, wow, I think that sounds a little bit like so-and-so, and a lot of other, you know, 3 or 4 other really, really great guitar players. So, you know, he's been influenced, obviously, by a lot more than just Yngwie. I think he was influenced a lot by Europe, and he, you know, I don't want to try to speak for him, but he's just a great, great guitar player. And he went from sounding a good bit like Yngwie to really, really growing and expanding and becoming more and more of himself, becoming more CJ, becoming more, hey, I'm a good guitar player and I've got my own sound, you know, and I'm influenced by a lot of other players, like everybody is. Nobody, especially if unless there's a few people that you would consider to be guitar innovators like Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page and Eddie Van Halen, and it goes on and on. You might even throw, I would throw Yngwie in that group probably at the bottom of the list, but not many people sounded like Yngwie in 1982 when that Steeler album came out. But anyway, I'm kind of getting on a rabbit trail here. But, okay, so this is my #1 favorite Narnia album, Desert Land. I love it because it, like I said, in summary, it's just really shows so much growth by C.J. Grimark, and there's some great tracks on here that are not just, it doesn't just sound like neoclassical metal like you heard much of in the first 2 albums. So this, the 3rd album came out in 2001, I want to say. Anyway, with that said, go ahead and down in the comments, let me know your top 5 favorite Narnia albums, and then I'll catch up with all of you later. Happy Friday, and we're going to go ahead and end this video. And I hope to, I'm just to let you know, trying to do this as professionally as possible, and some of it coming across as well, hey, you know, why doesn't he edit his videos? Why doesn't he have the cool ability to drop music in and things like that? Well, I'm currently building my studio. I'm currently buying all the things I need to do that, and I need to obviously acquire software to do a lot of that editing stuff. So anyway, you guys all have a great Friday and a great weekend, and as always, stay metal, keep it metal, and hang loose, and happy Aloha Friday.